Hi, and welcome back to Tales from the World's Firesides. I'm Clive Gilson, the story guy. Today I'm telling a Finnish folk tale called The Planting of the Trees, which is part of the Wainamoinen legends, and it's from my book Tales from the Forest Lands. The book contains around 45 traditional Finnish tales, and as ever my main aim is to tell stories that might otherwise be forgotten or lost to modern readers around the world. Tales that help us share our cultures and maybe just make the world a little less complex. The Planting of the Trees is taken from our Eivind's adaptation in a book called Finnish Legends for English Children, and it itself is taken from an original in the Song of the Kervala. Finnish Legends for English Children was published in 1893 by T. Fisher Unwin in London. So let's get on with the story. Wainamoinen lived for many years upon the island upon which he had first landed from the sea, pondering how he should plant the trees and make the mighty forests grow. At length he thought of Sampsa, the firstborn of the plains, and he sent for him to do the sowing. So Sampsa came and scattered abroad the seed of all the trees and plants that are now on the earth, firs and pine trees on the hills, alders, lindens and willows in the lowlands, and bushes and hawthorn in the secluded nooks. Soon all the trees had grown up and become great forests, and the hawthorns were covered with berries. Only the acorn lay quiet in the ground and refused to sprout. Wainamoinen watched 7 days and 7 nights to see if it would begin to grow, but it lay perfectly still. Just then he saw ocean maidens on the shore cutting grass and raking it into heaps. And as he watched them, there came a great giant out of the sea, who pressed the heaps into such tight bundles that the grass caught fire and burnt to ashes. Then the giant took an acorn and planted it in the ashes, and almost instantly it began to sprout, and a tree shot up and grew until it became a mighty oak, whose top was far above the clouds, and whose branches shut out the light of the sun and the moon and the stars. When Wainamoinen saw how the oak had shut off all the light from the earth, he was as deeply perplexed on how to get rid of it as he had been before to make it grow. So he prayed to his mother, Ilmatar, to grant him power to overthrow this mighty tree, so that the sun might shine once more on the plains of Kalevala. No sooner had he asked Ilmatar for help than there stepped out of the sea a tiny man no bigger than one's finger, dressed in cap, gloves and clothes of copper, and carrying a small copper hatchet in his belt. Wainamoinen asked him who he was, and the tiny man replied, "I am a mighty ocean hero, and am come to cut down the oak tree." But Wainamoinen began to laugh at the idea of so little a man being able to cut down so huge a tree. But even while Wainamoinen was laughing, the dwarf grew all at once into a great giant, whose head was higher than the clouds, and whose long beard fell down to his knees. The giant began to whet his axe on a huge piece of rock, and before he had finished he had worn out 6 blocks of the hardest rock and 7 of the softest sandstone. Then he strode up to the tree and began to cut it down. When the 3rd blow had fallen, the fire flew from his axe and from the tree as well, and before he had time to strike a 4th blow, the tree tottered and fell, covering the whole earth, north, south, east and west, with broken fragments. And those who picked up pieces of the branches received good fortune. Those who found pieces of the top became mighty magicians, and those who found the leaves gained lasting happiness. And then the sunlight came once more to Kalevala, and all the things grew and flourished. Only the barley had not yet been planted. Now Wainamoinen had found 7 magic barley grains as he was wandering on the seashore one day, and he took these and was about to plant them, but the titmouse stopped him, saying, "The magic barley will not grow unless you first cut down and burn the forest, and then plant the seeds in the wood ashes." So Wainamoinen cut down the trees, as the titmouse had said, only he left the birch trees standing. After all the rest were cut down, an eagle flew down and, alighting on a birch tree, asked why all the others had been destroyed, but the birches left alone. And Wainamoinen answered that he had left them for the birds to build their nests on, and for the eagle to rest on, and for the sacred cuckoo to sit in and sing. The eagle was so pleased at this that he kindled a fire amongst the other trees for Wainamoinen, and they were all burnt except for the birches. Wainamoinen then brought forth the 7 magic barley seeds from his skin pouch and sowed them in the ashes, and as he sowed he prayed to great Ukko to send warm rains from the south to make the seeds sprout. And the rain came, and the barley grew so fast that in 7 days the crop was almost ripe. Okay, that's a wrap for today's story, The Planting of the Trees. If you've enjoyed the story, you can pick up a copy of the book, Tales from the Forest Lands, from most good bookstores and from Amazon, Barnes & Noble and other good online bookshops too. The book is available in hardback, paperback and ebook formats. You can find out more about me, Clive Gilson, the story guy, and the Tales from the World's Fireside project at clivegilson.com. And there's also dedicated Facebook and YouTube channels in the banner at the bottom of the screen. I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It always helps to keep these stories front and centre, and means that I can keep making the stories available to you. If you want to look at or listen to and watch some of the older stories or new stuff that's coming up, then do subscribe to the channels. There's new stuff every week, at least 1 or 2 stories every week. Anyway, that's it for now though. So until next time, sort of keep reading, keep watching and stay inspired.